Just to put this in context, if you put together all the Christians persecuted for their faith around the globe, Rachel, they do not compute to the high numbers in Nigeria. As Charlie just mentioned, 52,000 killed since 2009. That equals, there's a group called Intersociety, which does pretty good polling on the ground. They say that's about 35 Christians killed every day. Okay, 3 churches are destroyed every day in this area. And look, it's a combination. In northern Nigeria, you have both Muslims and Christians being killed. But in the Middle Belt and elsewhere, it's all Christians being slaughtered. And the perpetrators here are Boko Haram, whose name we know, right. An Islamic terrorist group. You have these Fulani herdsmen who run around on horses or on motorcycles with machine guns. They literally mow these Christians down, these farmers who are tending to their land. It is an outrage. And back in 2017, the Trump administration designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which came with sanctions. Well, when the Biden administration came along, Anthony Blinken lifted that designation. He said these murders were being committed because of climate change.
So this weekend, President Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. That is tremendous news. It's something that I've been advocating for a long time. There is no country on earth where Christians are more persecuted than Nigeria. Since 2009, more than 50,000 Christians have been murdered by Boko Haram and radical Islamic extremists. More than 20,000 churches and schools have been burned to the ground. I introduced legislation to direct the administration to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. President Trump has done that. Thank you, President Trump. We're going to keep the fight going to protect Christians and to protect religious liberty.
Quickly, maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the Cold War, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims will equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause. There are people who are sponsoring them. And the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what will you tell the people that have been burying there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of...
All right, Zari Yusuf. I mean, we are really trying to manage time, and I know you have a lot to say. But let me bring the conversation back to Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi, your reaction to some of things that have been said, but I would also direct the same question to you, where, of course, Nigeria has been designated, according to President Trump, a country of particular concern, citing killings targeted at a particular faith. Does this reflect our reality?
Therefore, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd say to you that, indeed, that reflects the reality in Nigeria. That is a welcome development, and that is not new or unexpected. It's something that is long overdue. To start off, I'd say to you, frankly, what appears to be mischievous in the world of the cleric would be the denial of a Christian genocide. As a matter of fact, I know you would likely have been taken aback when he said Benue is now peaceful, Plateau is peaceful, Southern Kaduna is peaceful. Of course, we understand the notion of peace is relative to a large extent. But going by the history of Nigeria, at least in the last 2 decades, we can very much draw a clear line between what is peaceful and what is not peaceful. You are dealing with a situation where, let me even start with a certain point. How did we get to the CPC list in the first place? It is simply because, it is not just because there are attacks on innocent people, innocent civilians who are armless, but it's simply because there is a certain attitude with which the government responds to these attacks. Throughout General Muhammadu Buhari's regime, especially when it was in Benue, there was hardly an attack where the presidency will not give a statement that looks like excusing, the attack, telling the people, cede your land so that, the Fulani would build ranches and all of that. The people have followed this pattern over, you can't argue with a pattern that has proven itself for about 2 decades. This is a clear case of an Islamist militia that is basically targeting Christian communities and sacking them. If it is a matter of land, is it only the Fulani people that have lived in other people's land in the Middle Belt? Do we not have Calabar people? Do we not have Yoruba people? Do we not have people from the south? Do we not have Igbos? Why is it only from one end? And if it is a battle over land, say crisis for instance, why is it only that one particular group is strictly composed of Muslims, they are sophisticatedly armed, and they are always killing the other groups who happen to just be agrarian people living their lives, and they just turn out to be Christians. So the idea of putting Nigeria on the CPC list reflects the truth of it. It is not as if somebody woke up in the morning and met a group of people living peacefully and then decided, let me bring in misunderstanding to them. Of course, he has been dismissive of the reality on ground, saying he doesn't want a scenario where Christians and Muslims will start killing each other. There is no such scenario. The only scenario we have are armed Islamic terrorists that have been killing Christians for almost 2 decades. So what exactly are we talking about? And what exactly are we afraid of being put on the CPC list? I remember the statement is that if the government will not take the responsibility of ending these killings, then of course the international community has a legal and a moral responsibility to step in. Wherever there is a genocide, you don't need the permission of the government of that country to end it.
I see this thing as gaslighting, because when Jonathan was in office, Jonathan had to bring General Ihe Jirika, who gave Boko Haram hair. He was chasing them bumper to, in fact, it was Ihe Jirika that identified Sambisa Forest, where he chased them into. Moses, what happened? Northern leader started writing petition against Jonathan, sending letter to ICC, to America, to everybody, that Jonathan want to do genocide, he want to retaliate what they did to them during the war. Is that not what happened here in Nigeria? For a people who wanted this thing to end, wouldn't you have encouraged Jonathan in what he was doing? Please, somebody should answer me.
Yes, I will.
Good, I'm coming. Please, I'm coming.
I will answer you.
Yes, I'm coming. Now, Jonathan had to withdraw Ihe Jirika, and the thing now escalated under Buhari. Again, listen, if these people meant well, why are they spreading from the whole north now? They are coming to the south. Initially, they told us it was herdsmen. They were looking for grazing. Now, the whole thing has spread all over Nigeria. Is there any state in Nigeria today that is not expressing this thing? So what's the meaning? They want us to believe in what they are doing, Abi. They want us to believe in terrorism so that we cannot live. Is that what you're telling me? No, tell me. So pampering these people is a no-no for me.
Okay.
They shouldn't spread this in all over Nigeria.
Let's have your response.
I think there is a miscommunication between North and the South. There's a missing gap. Ihe Jirika, we are there, we are here. Ihe Jirika, in fact, I had a lady from Maiduguri saying, it's over the news, that we prefer Boko Haram to what the army was doing in Maiduguri. They were killing innocent people. It was very merciless, killing innocent people. That's why the northern states was all united that this man must go. Because you see, you need to follow these things systematically, slowly, gently, just like treating a brain cancer. If you go in there with roughness, you will kill the patient. But you have to be very delicate, trying to extract the cancer from the normal cells gently and remove them. This is how these people have infiltrated the society. You can't come, even the bombs that was in United Nations, the one in 1st October Eagle, the one in Kaduna, the one in Jaji, the one in Kano, they are all done by a clandestine security, not by Boko Haram. Boko Haram don't have capacity for that.
Do you want these individuals, these clandestine security, as you call them, would you like to see them annihilated? Would you like to see them wiped out? Would you like to see those that are displacing Nigerians, those that are causing?
Let me tell you, it's there in our hadith. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, if I am alive, I will annihilate them. This is what you used, annihilate them, because they are the most evil people created by God.
So you would like to see them wiped out?
Yes.